Hey guys, I got something on my mind that's something that you see people talking about, you hear people talking about a lot, and that's politics. And they support this candidate for president, they support that military organization, they support another political party, they stand by this country. And you know what I'm about to say? Let's just call this my personal philosophy, okay? I'm not going to try to quote a bunch of Bible verses to justify this philosophy and try to convince you that this is something that's Torah or written in the Bible, because it's not. It's a personal interpretation, so take it as such, but I think it has a lot of merit, or I wouldn't be making a video about it. Now, think about this. When we come into Torah, when we come into that knowledge of truth, when we repent, that means we abandon our own ways and our own beliefs and our own, theories on, what's good and what's bad, and we decide that we're going to make Torah our life, and that's going to define good and evil for us from that day forward. When we repent and are, born again, as it describes in the New Testament, well, what does that mean? We become new creatures. Why does it say we are born again? Because we become something that we were not before. We now have a new mother. We now have a new father. And we now have a new home country. We are part of a new people. So when I was born naturally 40 years ago, I was born in the United States of America. I was born to a man and a woman, which, okay, they are what they are. And, I was a citizen of that country. Now, I am a new creature. My father is Yahweh. My mother is all of Israel. And what about my people? Well, I do not consider myself, even though I am on paper, I do not consider myself a citizen of the country United States of America. I live in Bolivia, and I don't consider myself a part of this country either. You know what? Both countries allow abortion. They allow homosexuality. They permit all kinds of things. They eat pigs. They work on Sabbaths. They don't even, keep my feast days, and both countries hate my God. So these are not my people. These are not my countries. And that being said, what is my position on politics? Am I a Democrat or am I a Republican? Do I vote for the Green Party? Do I support the IDF? Do I stand by Israel? All of these things. There is not a country on this planet right now, this date, that has Torah as their law. And you know what? My Jewish friends would disagree with that. They would say, oh, no. Israel is, they keep Torah, and that's a Jewish state. You know what? They do not keep Torah. They allow the worship of strange gods in their land. They allow idols in their land. That is not Torah. So, do I stand by that Jewish state in the Middle East? I do not. Because my people, my nation is not the state of Israel in the Middle East. My nation is biblical Israel, the people who are joined to Yahweh in covenant. And their law, without exception, is Torah. Those are my people, and that is the Israel by which I stand. Do I support the IDF? No, because it is a military organization of a secular state. In other words, it is part of this world. My nation is not of this world. My kingdom is somewhere else. You can't find it on a map. My people are all over the place. They're all over the world. But we are a nation. We have our own constitution. And we have our own king. We have our own law, and we have our own judge. So when it comes to politics in this world, you'll never see me speaking out against legalizing gay marriage. Do I support gay marriage? Not in Israel, because our God forbids it, and our people don't tolerate it. But what about in the United States of America? They have their own God. That is not my nation. Even if I live in the middle of it, even if I was born there, and I lived there all my life, that is not my nation once I am reborn. So I say, let wicked men in wicked nations do wickedly. Let wicked kings rule wickedly. Democrat or Republican, who cares? It's wicked versus wicked. And please don't even fall into that trap of, well, I'm voting for the lesser of two evils. Do you hear what you just said? You're voting for evil. Okay? No, I won't put my name next to a wicked person in their support. I don't support wickedness. I don't support wicked rulers. I don't appoint wicked men to rule over me. And I don't consider myself a part of a wicked nation. I don't want to try to change it or influence it or make it any better, because it's not mine. My kingdom is not of this world. So when it comes to politics, my position is I simply don't care. It doesn't involve me. Now there are people that will go to the Bible and they will say, you know what? Daniel was involved in government. This is true. What about Joseph in Egypt? He ruled over Egypt. This is also true. And I'm not advocating that people should have nothing to do with government. What I'm saying is, it's not our place to support it or to try to change it or to try to turn the kingdoms of this world into something more like the kingdoms of our God. Because this world will be handed over to our God when His day comes. That last 1,000 years of this world, the kingdoms of man will become the kingdoms of Yahweh, and then Torah will be the law of the land from east to west. But let's look at those biblical examples, at least a couple. Look at Daniel. I mean, he was basically enslaved. He was captured and led off into captivity. He was not voting and advocating the government and, trying to change the government. He was providing service that was obligated to him. And look at Joseph in Egypt. Now there's a perfect example because he was second only to Pharaoh, all right? He could have done all kinds of things if he wanted to. But what do we read about? He was busy governing on matters that were handed to him and he was told to rule over. And he was ruling over things that directly impacted his people, namely because he was shown those things in a vision. What he was not doing, you don't read anything about in the Bible or in history, where he outlawed the worship of the Egyptian gods, where he outlawed the consumption of unclean meats, where he did anything to try to turn that wicked nation, that nation of men, into some kind of Torah observant or Torah friendly country. He didn't do that because that's not what Torah tells us to do. And people will be a lot happier and a lot more effective witnesses when you go onto Facebook and instead of their wall being full of politics and conspiracy theory and, garbage, you actually see them talking about Torah and standing by what's written. And they understand that their nation is not one of this world. We already know the destiny of all of the nations of man. They're going to fall. They are going to be conquered by our King. There's not one nation of man that's going to all of a sudden accept Torah as their law and all of a sudden repent and, surrender themselves over to our God. It's not going to happen until our Messiah comes back in force. So there's no reason to kick against a brick wall. You're just going to get a sore toe and oftentimes look silly in the process doing it. I mean, how many people that were saying that they stand by Trump a year ago and that Donald Trump is the best friend Israel ever had and Donald Trump is going to, move the embassy to Jerusalem and all these other things that they were talking about during the election. How many of those people feel a little bit sheepish now? You stood by a man. You stood by a wicked ruler, and he's ruled wickedly. Not that the other wicked ruler would have ruled any better. It's wicked versus wicked. It's not black versus white. It's evil versus evil here. So my philosophy, my interpretation, my position on politics, stay out. Let wicked people rule themselves wickedly. You mind you. You do you. You do you best. Let Israel take care of Israel. Let the world handle the world. We're in the world. I understand that. We live among the nations. I understand that too. That doesn't mean to be some kind of elitist, even though we are elite. It doesn't mean to be standoffish. It doesn't mean to treat people badly. It just means mind your own kingdom. That's it. So that's all I really wanted to talk about is this politics thing. Don't let that become your religion. Don't let that become your mission. And when you really look at it, it is 100% vanity. It's useless. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't better anything. Get involved, campaign, write a bunch of silly Facebook posts. Guess what? You haven't made the world a better place. You haven't added one brick to the kingdom that we're a part of. You haven't accomplished anything. So drop the futility, get on the right track, and let's work on building the kingdom. Let's work on finding those lost sheep. Let's work on teaching one another and edifying the brothers. You know what I mean? That's what this thing's all about. Build the right kingdom, not the wrong kingdom.